Ayisha Yakubu.
And I am Martin Asiedu Dartey. Here are the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
Speaker of Parliament releases 2 members of Parliament, Mustafa Yusuf and Kwame Asiedu, being also known as A+, to National Investigations Bureau for investigations.
Also coming up, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources talks tough on Galamsey as 76 illegal miners are arrested and 100 excavators seized.
And Supreme Court orders lawyers for NDC parliamentary candidates of Ablekuma North, Okaikwe Central, Techiman South and Tema Central to file documents in response to the Electoral Commission.
Later in business, Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority warns of sanctions for intentional non-compliance regarding the abolishment of E-levy.
In international news, U.S. stock markets dropped sharply after Donald Trump announced a raft of worldwide tariffs. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, all across the world on 3news.com. In the details this evening, news just coming in indicates that Minister of Energy and Green Transitions, Dr. John Jinapor, has written to Director of National Investigations Bureau to investigate missing containers belonging to the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, at the Tema Port. In a request dated April 2, 2025, the minister said the finalization of the investigation of the committee tasked to investigate the missing containers indicated that 1,357 of the containers could not be accounted for, thus allegedly missing. His request follows findings of a technical committee that was set up to investigate 2,500 missing ECG containers. He's accordingly praying the NIB to commence investigations into the missing containers and furnish the ministry with the findings of the investigations. There will be more on the story on Ghana Tonight at 10 p.m.
And it's interesting that the same issue on Ghana Tonight yesterday had the former ECG boss talking to Alfredo Kanse, which generated quite some conversation about these missing containers from the port. So now the ministry has formalized the investigation. I would wait to see what the outcomes will be and when that report will be made available. This is still News360. Let's delve into some other stories now. We're going to Parliament, where the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, has released 2 members of Parliament to the National Intelligence Bureau, the NIB, for interrogation. They are the Member of Parliament for Goma Central, Kwame Asiedu, being known as Kwame A+, and the Member of Parliament for Yagaba Kubore, Mustafa Yusuf. A letter from the Clerk of Parliament directed both lawmakers to avail themselves to the NIB in Parliament on Monday, the 7th of April, in the company of their lawyers. This letter is, however, silent on the reasons for the request by the NIB. This is what we know so far regarding these 2 gentlemen or 2 members of Parliament who have been asked by the Speaker to meet with the National Intelligence Bureau, Investigative Bureau, to assist with investigations. So naturally, the question that arises will be, why are these 2 MPs being invited to help with investigation? So what we have from our sources indicate that the Member of Parliament for Yagaba Kubore, who you see on your screens, his name has been mentioned in the National Service Authority ghost name scandal, where he once served as the executive director. He has also been involved in controversy surrounding the budget and organization of the All Africa Games under his watch when he was the sports minister under the erstwhile NPP government. For Kwame Asiedu, being the Member of Parliament for Goma Central. He says that, or what we have heard from sources indicate that he recently threatened to expose the identity of former government officials who were allegedly involved in Ahmed Swali's murder. Also, he recently posted, I think that should be like yesterday, he posted that he had intercepted a truck carrying suspected missing cables that belong to the ECG in his constituency. So probably it is on the back of these that the investigative outfit wants to speak to them. Now, you know that MPs have some immunity, so that is why he has had to take the speaker to formally release them for investigations or to assist the NIB for investigations. So let's speak to Dr. Rashid Draman, who is the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, on his immediate thoughts on this particular story or developing story. Doc, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time.
Evening.
I'm sure that, you know, the speaker being fully aware of the immunities that members of parliament do enjoy, has had to think through to release them for investigation. How does this hit you? This novel, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. I think these are some of the kind of streamlined processes that over the years we were hoping that at least there would be between Parliament and other kind of branches of government. I mean, MPs, despite the fact that they enjoy some immunities under Article 77 of the Constitution and so on, when it borders on criminality and so on, I think they have to avail themselves to answer. And going through, you know, Parliament and following the right procedure, I think makes this, you know, very tidy. Because at the end of the day, many might be asking, okay, now Article 77 says when you are on your way to Parliament or conducting parliamentary business or, you know, attending to Parliament and so on, they are on recess. But even when they are on recess, they engage in parliamentary business. I mean, most of them are traveling, most of them are doing work in their constituencies, and some of those things that they are doing are all businesses of Parliament. So I think the Right Honourable Speaker should be celebrated. I mean, we have to have these clearly laid down procedures, and that, you know, there's nobody who is above the law, and when members of Parliament are needed, they must be released to answer questions, so that at least it doesn't seem to be like they are making the laws, but are living above the laws that they make for the rest of us as ordinary citizens.
But Doc, wouldn't you agree that this is also then setting a certain precedent where, for instance, if any member of Parliament is alleged to have been involved in anything or can help with investigations, immediately he has to be released? What then happens to the Article 117, 118 that they enjoy, which says if they are on their way to Parliament or undertaking any parliamentary business, they cannot be giving or served any kind of such an invitation by the investigative arm of government?
Yes, indeed. When they are, I mean, on their way or doing parliamentary business, I think the Constitution is clear, Martin. And also, you remember, I think in the 8th Parliament, there was a lot of back and forth between the Right Honourable Speaker and the judiciary, where the Speaker said at one point they had a conversation with the Chief Justice to agree on days, for instance, on Mondays they don't sit. So I think the agreement was that if you want to serve the Speaker or anybody, the clerk, I mean, do it on Monday, do it through the legal department, and so on and so forth. I think that was not respected at some point, and it created some tension between the judiciary and Parliament. You know, yes, they have immunities, clear, but, you know, I think those immunities are not absolute. Okay.
And finally and briefly, should we have been told what the content of that investigation could be as part of the letter the Speaker released?
Yes, in fact, most of us are confused now because we are all just in realms of speculations. We don't know exactly what this is all about. Some are saying it's about the containers. Some are saying it's about the national service scandal. Some are even mentioning Swale, as you have indicated. We don't know. So I think in the spirit of transparency and accountability, I think they should tell us what this is all about.
All right, Dr. Rashid Rahman, thank you so much for speaking to us. He's the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Let's also put this out there that the meeting between the two members of Parliament and the NIB, according to the letter from the Speaker, should be within the precincts of Parliament, and the two MPs must also come with their lawyers. So it's a developing subject that we'll keep close eyes on for you.
And now the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, says more stringent regulations and measures are going to be enforced to tackle the menace of illegal mining. At a press briefing Thursday, the minister said so far about 76 illegal miners have been arrested, 100 excavators seized, and 7 forest reserves have been reclaimed.
Government reaffirmed its commitment to eradicating illegal mining, with the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, vowing to use all lawful means to combat the menace. Speaking at a press briefing on Thursday, the minister outlined a 5-pillar strategy to tackle illegal mining.
We have also, as you know, within this short period, brought about the Blue Water Initiative, which target is to train 2,000 young people as blue water guards to monitor and report illegal activities. I said that these are not soldiers, but they are basically security personnel trained to coordinate with the Ghana Navy, trained as intelligence officers as well, trained in swimming to really help the Navy. We have come up with a comprehensive program, the Tree for Life initiative, which aims to plant over 7 million seedlings to restore degraded and mined-out areas nationwide. The objective of this initiative is to transform heavily degraded areas into functional, vibrant ecosystems that support biodiversity and human livelihoods.
He added government has reclaimed 7 out of 9 forest reserves previously controlled by armed legal miners.
The reclaimed reserves are Jemra and Jemra Extension, Afao Hills, Tano Ofin Shelter Belt, Aniasu East, and Asiedu South and Subri. Efforts are ongoing to reclaim the other 2.
The minister urged traditional leaders, local assemblies, and civil society to support the fight against illegal mining.
Let's go to the courts now. The Supreme Court has ordered lawyers of the NDC's parliamentary candidates for Ablekuma North, Okaikwe Central and Techiman South and the Tema Central constituencies to file documents in response to the Electoral Commission. The electoral body filed documents to oppose the NDC's application to quash the High Court's decision, which ordered the collation and declaration of results of the disputed constituencies.
At the Apex Court on Thursday, April 3, Counsel for the National Democratic Congress candidates led by Seth Nyaba prayed for an order to extend the time to file a reply to the Electoral Commission's affidavit opposing the substantive request to quash the High Court's decision.
Counsel for the Electoral Commission, Justin Amenuwa, vehemently opposed the application filed by the lawyers of the NDC. He argued that they have had the last 2 months to file their responses since he filed this response to their application in January of this year. So listening to the responses, Justice Dakwa Asare granted the application filed by the lawyers of the NDC and ordered them to file their responses within 7 days. Same orders went to the interested parties for them to file their responses as well.
Lawyer for the NDC parliamentary candidates spoke after the hearing.
In the EC's statement of case, they made reference to a letter that was written by the EC to the Minority Caucus in 2020 in relation to the Techiman South parliamentary election issues in 2020. But that letter is not before the court. So it's part of the reasons why we want to attach that letter to our supplementary affidavit in response to the EC's affidavit in opposition to our application. And then in the EC statement of case, they've also raised some fundamental legal issues which we deem it necessary to respond to by way of writing.
To see how things will look like in the coming days as the substantive case is yet to be heard. Lord Brasari, TV3 News, Supreme Court, Accra.
Moving on, some Ghanaians have welcomed the cancellation of the electronic transfer levy with excitement, calling on government to lessen the cost of living burden on citizens. TV3 can confirm that major charging entities have stopped deductions for E-levy after the Ghana Revenue Authority directive. My colleague Christian Yale performed some transactions and has filed this report.
Consequent to President Mahamad's assent and the GRA directive to charging entities, I put up a test to find out whether the charges or deductions for E-levy have been officially stopped. I first transferred an amount of 870 cedis from my bank account to my mobile money wallet. And out of that 870 cedis that I transferred, there was no charge for E-levy.
But it is worth noting that, according to the law, a transfer from one's bank account to the mobile money wallet shouldn't be taxed. I used to suffer E-levy charges whenever doing bank transfers to Momo wallet because I had not captured my Ghana card details on my bank account for that purpose.
And then a few minutes after midnight on Thursday, I then transferred 869 cedis from my Telecel cash wallet to a mobile money wallet, which also did not attract any E-levy charge.
The 2 billion Ghana cedis that government is going to lose will now come to Ghanaians. So in effect, individual Ghanaians who ordinarily would have lost 2 billion Ghana cedis will now retain their 2 billion Ghana cedis.
On Thursday, MTN Ghana announced that it has officially removed E-levy deductions from mobile money transactions. What is clear is that all illegal deductions made after the GRA order will be refunded to affected customers.
If this is the reason why we are repealing the E-levy, then E-levy is 1%. Why don't we go and repeal VAT, which is about 17%, if we are looking at ensuring that there's disposable income for citizens.
The E-levy, which was initially introduced at 1.75% before being revised to 1%, imposed taxes on electronic transactions, including mobile money payment, bank transfers, and inward remittances. It faced huge backlash and opposition from the public, who described it as a burden and failed to raise expected revenue.
I say it's a very good one. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC has proven beyond reasonable doubt that they are for the people. When you are being paid, your salary, and then you are being deducted your taxes, and then you decide to keep your money in your mobile money wallet, and you make up your mind to do any electronic transaction, the government says, which is the past government, will still take money from you, which is stealing. It is double taxation.
So what might be bring account when you be bring account? Oh, at least you could lot of fairness home.
The repeal of this tax is expected to revitalize the sector, boost digital transactions, and enhance financial inclusion. Christian Yale, TV3 News.
Now, fresh tariffs imposed with no clear explanation as to what happens to the global economy and particularly Ghana's economy and businesses have come up for conversation. In the latest 3 News explainer, Enyonam Haliga makes meaning of the latest executive order by U.S. President Donald Trump and what that could mean for Ghana.
In a move that has sparked global trade concerns, the United States has announced a 10% tariff, that's extra tax, on Ghanaian exports, taking effect from April 5. This decision comes as part of a broader economic strategy by President Donald Trump, which also includes 34% tariff on Chinese imports, 20% tariffs on goods from the European Union. While these measures are intended to protect the American industry, they have raised questions about how Ghana's economy will be affected. But why these tariffs? Well, they form part of President Trump's national economic emergency as a policy aimed at boosting Americans' manufacturing and reducing dependency on foreign goods, addressing economic exploitation that has disadvantaged the U.S. for years, and also creating jobs and strengthening the American economy. Now, speaking from the Rose Garden, Trump stated that these tariffs are not just about trade, but about fairness.
April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy. You see the numbers are so disproportionate, they're so unfair. At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart? And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating.
Now, how will this impact Ghana? The 10% tariff on Ghanaian exports have raised some concerns, especially for industries that rely on trade with the U.S. Ghana's key exports to the U.S. include gold and gas, though these two could be exempt from the tariff increase. Businesses that depend on exports could face higher costs and reduce competitiveness. Some experts fear that these new tariffs may slow down economic growth if alternative trade solutions are not found. Now the big question, what is next for Ghana? Ghanaian business and policymakers will, however, need to monitor the impact of these tariffs on export, explore alternative market to reduce their reliance on the United States, and engage in trade negotiations to safeguard Ghana's economic interests. The overall message from the U.S., however, is that Ghana remains a valued trade partner. Enyonam Haliga, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now bring you some health-related stories. The Ghana Health Service has attributed the upsurge of cholera cases in 3 districts in the central region to lack of potable water and sanitation challenges. According to the Central Regional Directorate of the Ghana Health Service, recent perennial challenges experienced in the Mfantsiman, Komenda, Dina, Eguafo, Ibrim, and Cape Coast metropolis, coupled with insanitary lifestyle of residents, have contributed to a rise in cases. Thomas Khan reports.
The Central Region since October 2024 has seen an upsurge in cholera cases with some casualties. The cases were first recorded in Ewutu-Senya East, Aguna West and Efutu districts. The Ghana Health Service outlined measures which led to a decrease in cases. According to the service, the outbreak of the disease was as a result of insanitary challenges in the affected districts. Unfortunately, a few days after curbing the situation in the districts, the Ghana Health Service is again raising concerns about another outbreak in the Mfantsiman, Komenda, Edina, Egufu, Abrim, and the Cape Coast metropolis, attributed to the recent water supply challenges and sanitation problems. Dr. Jojo Kobna is the Deputy Director of Ghana Health Service in the Central Region.
The common factor in all these 3 districts is the lack of water, poor water and sanitation and hygiene facilities around. So basically, they all have issues with water supply, poor sanitation, both personal and environmental.
So there has been concerns about the culture of the people, the unsanitary conditions and everything about it. What is also, have you identified that as one of the challenges?
Along the coast, we've identified that a lot of people, even situations where they have toilet facilities, people prefer to defecate at the beaches and unacceptable places, and that is a major factor contributing. So we are trying to change this social behavior of the people along the coast, and then for them to adopt sanitary practices that would bring a stop to transmission of some of these conditions.
A vaccination exercise will be rolled out from April 4 to April 7 for persons aged 1 year and above. The immunization focal country representative for World Health Organization, Fred Osei-Sapon, urged residents to take their personal hygiene seriously.
A lot of health intervention.
Now, plans are far advanced for the implementation, coordination and monitoring of Ghana's first national surgical, obstetric and anesthesia plan in line with global best practice. Government has inaugurated a 15-member steering committee with the crucial responsibility of overseeing the implementation process, which will address critical gaps in surgical care. A report by Samuel Yeboah Adams.
National Surgical Obstetric and Anesthesia Plan (NSOP) is a crucial policy document aimed at improving the health outcomes of people, particularly in surgical care, obstetrics and anesthesia services. Surgical care is an essential component of a well-functioning healthcare system. However, for decades, limited access to surgical, obstetric, and anesthesia services, particularly in rural and underserved communities, has contributed to preventable deaths and disabilities. The document, which was launched last year, is yet to be implemented at various health facilities across the country to address these gaps.
I urge all members of this committee to approach this responsibility with a sense of urgency, commitment, and excellence. The successes of the NSOP will not only strengthen our healthcare system, but also save countless lives and ensure that every Ghanaian, regardless of their location or financial status, has access to quality surgical care.
The steering committee has the sole responsibility of ensuring the initiative aligns with the country's national vision of ensuring universal access to safe, timely and affordable surgical, obstetric and anesthesia care for all Ghanaians. Its Vice Chair, Professor Ifwahesi, highlighted their commitment to deliver on their mandate.
Once you have a plan, you look at how you're going to implement that plan. And that's the task of the steering committee. And that's what we have to sit down and look at. In terms of what is already happening on ground, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're adding on to the structures that are already in place to see how we can improve them to try and get a better outcome. So that's what by the end of this 5-year journey, we should definitely see improvements.
Government further assured its commitment to a resilient healthcare system where no Ghanaian is left behind in accessing quality surgical care.
Stakeholders are calling for regulation across the various social media platforms following the rising concerns of online gender-based violence, particularly among female politicians. The call for stringent measures is to ensure discipline and to protect women and the girl child in their political pursuits and increase their presence online without fear of violence or derogatory remarks.
A survey conducted by MFW over 8 months revealed that women are disproportionately disadvantaged when it comes to accessing and using the internet. The survey, which focused on female politicians, members of parliament, influencers, and female vice presidents, showed a disturbing trend of derogatory remarks, body shaming, and insults on monitored platforms. Programs Director of Freedom of Expression and Digital Rights at MFWA, Dora Bwamamauto, emphasized that online gender-based violence harasses, intimidates, and maligns women, pushing them to silence. She called for sensitization, a policy specifically targeting online gender-based violence in the Cybersecurity Act, as well as punishment for perpetrators.
There has to be policy. The Cybersecurity Act has provisions about distribution of non-consensual images and videos. It also talks about distribution of child pornography and related issues. But beyond those issues, when we are talking about, for instance, these insults and abuse and offensive comments, when you talk about body shaming, when you talk about the doxing and all that, they are not clearly stipulated in the Act. So we need to expand it or have a separate policy that looks specifically at online gender-based violence, and then we tackle it accordingly.
Lance Corporal Gwendolyn Abbey of the Ghana Police Service Cybercrime Unit echoed the need for a collaborative effort to tackle online gender-based violence in Ghana.
Once a case is reported, I'll highlight the word reported. An official complaint is taken, investigation begins. The investigative procedure is quite lengthy, but once you immediately report, you just know that you get to an end unless you are not interested. So the public should just exercise patience. It's a lengthy process. It takes time. The media should join us so that we do this thing together.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have the latest in the world of business, sports, entertainment, all coming up after this.
The GRA will rigorously enforce compliance
the law as soon as it comes into effect. But if for any reason anybody has suffered the E-levy in this intervening period, the assurance to every Ghanaian is that we're going to go back to reconcile with all the charging entities and make sure that anybody who has suffered the levy from 00 hours of 2nd April will get their refund duly given to them.
The GRA management's retreat is to help fashion out strategies to enable the authority achieve the 220 billion cedis revenue target. The engagement is focused on taxpayer compliance, widening the tax net, paying tax on time, tax reforms through retooling, digitization, customer-centered service and officer professionalism. Representing the Finance Minister, Director for Revenue Policy at the Sector Ministry, Daniel Nua, noted that there is the need to commence a complete overhaul of the country's tax system.
To rationalize the tax system and improve tax collections to ensure that the system generates the necessary revenue for the benefit of the state while placing any undue burden on taxpayers. And for those of us who've listened carefully to the minister, we do know that he is very high on compliance instead of new policies.
Away from that, Chief Executive of the Ghana Telecommunications Chamber, Dr. Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe, has reassured the public that all E-levy charging entities are working diligently to refund deductions made on April 2, 2025 and subsequent mistaken deductions. He notes that all mobile money platforms have successfully removed the tax, ensuring no further deductions will be made on transactions.
The systems have been able to do the reset to zero. So I'm pretty sure if you send mobile money today, you're likely to see that, it will tell you that the tax is zero or the E-levy is zero. A few of them that might fall within the cracks, that refund also will be done as quickly as possible. And then also, as time goes on, the various charging entities will do the amendment of the notification. So you might not even be seeing the tax as being zero again. It would completely be blank. So it's a process. These are digital systems that take a while to do, and then you want to make sure that everything you've done, there's no knock-on effect anywhere else again. So in terms of the refund for the second April 1, the GRA would give the clear guidelines, and that will be done as soon as possible. And going forward, any wrongful deduction would also be refunded immediately.
We'll now take your attention to Absa Bank Ghana, which has launched a refreshed women proposition, the Absa She Business, as a practical solution to the challenges women businesses face. The Absa She Business is in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation and is tailored at addressing the unique financial and structural barriers facing women in business.
Speaking at the launch, Managing Director of Absa Bank Ghana, Dr. Edward Nateboche, said the She Business demonstrates the bank's commitment to supporting women entrepreneurs.
The data is clear that when women thrive, businesses are able to excel and to be able to employ much more people, that the economy of the country is driven a lot by the efforts that we do find in this space. And that is the reason why we are spelling out our intent to be able to play effectively in this space.
Director of SME Banking and Partnership at Absa Bank, Audrey Abaka, noted that the proposition provides women entrepreneurs collateral-free loans of up to 2 million Ghana cedis at 10%.
So our product is for every woman who has 50% share in a business. If you have collateral, you can take beyond 2 million up to $1 million, also at 10%. Women are benefiting from insurance package, and then also they have access to free digital solutions.
Head of Entrepreneurship Development at MasterCard Foundation, Gottfried Odampton-Soa, said the initiative prioritizes growth, inclusion, and the success of women businesses.
We recognize that true empowerment goes beyond just funding. It requires a holistic approach that provides young women with the knowledge, network, and mentorship needed to navigate and lead in the business landscape successfully. That is why initiatives like She Business are so critical.
The Absa She Business is supported by Hollard Insurance, Telesol Ghana, and DHL.
In more news tonight, Sinotrack Howo, in partnership with Fet Auto Company Limited, have launched the Howo Max Track series, a heavy-duty vehicle designed to deliver top-notch performance, reliability, and advanced intelligent features for drivers and construction professionals.
Sinotrack Howo, in partnership with Fet Auto Company Limited, has launched the all-new Howo Max Track series designed to revolutionize the construction and transport industry. Equipped with advanced emergency braking and intelligent navigation, the track enhances safety, optimizes routes, and improves fuel efficiency. Its strength and durability makes it ideal for heavy-duty projects and long-distance transport. Chairman of Fet Auto, Zhang Yifeng, says the new track adapts to Ghana's complex working conditions with world's leading design.
Our business is from the mines to the port, from road to construction sites. Sinotrack vehicles sold by us have become an indisputable steel force in Ghana's structures construction. We have 18 years of experience and the locations management built a full-cycle service system covering per sales.
Fet Auto's General Manager Williams Uredu highlighted the track's advanced features and industry impact.
To African markets, and it's only Ghana that we have this track. And we know what is good for our customers. Our customers will ask us, when are you bringing European track to us? And we know what is good for our customers. I should start, because he said,
with cutting-edge technology and a driver-focused design, the Howo Max track is set to redefine heavy-duty performance on the road.
And that's it for Business Tonight on News 360. I am Menu Afo. Stay with us. Sports News is up next.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off from the Ghana Premier League where Razak Simpson's stunning goal handed Nations FC an important 1-0 victory over Heart of Oak at the Tuba AstroTurf in week 21 of the Ghana Premier League. Now, Simpson's 65th minute strike moved Nations FC into 4th in the league standings, 6 points behind leaders Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Meanwhile, Heart of Oak remain winless in their last 4 games, losing 3 and then drawing 1. The Phobians are 7 points off top spot in 6th with 10 games left to the end of the season. And so that's how things look in the Ghana Premier League as things do stand. However, let's move to the senior national team, that's the Black Stars. Now, they are back on the rise, climbing 1 spot to 76th place in the latest FIFA rankings, whilst maintaining 14th position on the African continent. Now, this upward movement marks the team's first ranking improvement since July 2024, when they jumped from 64th to 60th. There's more in the following story.
Ghana's senior national teams have moved a step up on the newly released World FIFA ranking. The Black Stars recorded 2 victories in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Chad at home to Nigeria and lost 3-1 away. Ghana accrued 12.61 points from the 2 wins, 1 draw and a defeat in the last FIFA window. The teams endured a torrid 2024, which resulted in their failure to qualify for the Championship of African Nations and the 2025 African Cup of Nations. But the latest FIFA window was a 10 from the previous 6 matches winless streak, where Ghana moved a step high from 77th to 76th. This is the first time since April 2024 that the team has moved up on the ranking. However, Ghana remain 14th on the African continent, meaning they have more ground to cover if they want to reclaim a place in the top 10. The team will be hoping to build on this momentum with the Unity Cup coming up in May against Nigeria, Jamaica, and Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, still on the Black Stars, and Ghana midfielder Lawrence Ejekum was excited to receive his debut call-up to the senior national team, but initially was worried after missing out on the first release of the squad. The 21-year-old replaced the injured Ayisha Owusu and ended up making his debut against Chad in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers.
I didn't know I was on standby. The first time I met with the head coach, Otuado, I think he came to watch one of our games against Genk. And then after the game, we spoke. And then, yeah, he told me I had a good game and then stuff like that. So I was a little bit convinced that probably I would be in the squad, because since the coach already saw me play and then he's convinced, then I think I might make it. But when the list came out and then I didn't see my name inside, I was a little bit worried though. But for me, it's maybe a great honor to be even in the 25-man squad or maybe 30-man squad. And then even if I didn't make it to the 23-man squad, I think it's a great honor, because at least they know that I'm alive, you know. They know I am playing somewhere, so if there's anything, I can get the opportunity at any time. So I think it was the assistant coach, Desmond, that called me and then told me, he asked me if I would get a call-up to the national team. Will I honor the call-up? And I told him, yes, of course, I would honor the call-up. And then he said he would speak with the coach and see. So I was a little bit happy during that day, because it was even before training. He called me and then I was really happy. And then I think after training, he called me again and then he was like, oh, congratulations, you've been called to the national team. Yeah, and I was very, very, very happy about the news.
Well, you can get all of these stories and more on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on News 360.
In entertainment news this evening, the board for the 26th Telecel Ghana Music Awards TGMA has announced updates to the Songwriter of the Year category, along with clarifications on nomination rules following a review of errors and omissions. In an official statement, the TGMA board announced that Kwame Eugene has been officially credited as a co-writer of the song No Competition by Ochame Kwame, correcting the initial listing that credited only Ochame Kwame. Addressing concerns regarding the nomination process, the board stated that each artist is allowed only one song nomination per category to prevent vote splitting and ensure a fair selection process. However, exceptions apply to categories such as Best Collaboration, Best International Collaboration, and Best Music Video, which recognize contributions from multiple creatives. Citing King Paluta's song Asiedu and Makoma as an example, the board explained that streaming numbers and airplay data from 175 radio stations were analyzed to determine that Asiedu was the more popular choice for High Love Song of the Year and Most Popular Song of the Year.
In more entertainment news, musician Ja Lead, whose real name is Emmanuel Essel, has opened up about his struggles with emotional stress, revealing the significant impact it has had on his creativity. In an interview on 3FM Drive, the lonely singer shared that depression from the loss of his baby mama, along with dispute with J Master J, heavily influenced his work.
I suffered this big depression. I felt I couldn't come back to music no more.
In 2023?
Yeah. Having had my child in Germany and then, losing the child's mother after the child was 5 months. I was in Ghana. I'm stuck here.
That was a big blow.
I'm trying to get back. Everything was like jamming up in my face. I was going through it.
How do you deal with depression, Jalid?
Well, I think I'm blessed. First of all, my name Jalid makes me open my ears and my mind to God. So almost everything inspires me. When I see people going hard at their work, it inspires me. When I see lazy people, it makes me feel like, no, if I'm lazy, I'm going to be here. And so I have to move on. Like there's a whole lot that I had to harden myself with, read more, listen to the right stuffs, and then, imbibe with them. And that helped me. That's
some serious.
The unfortunate thing is, right now sitting here, what made me do Hand of Jah?
Yeah.
I'm being blamed for her death. Whilst I was in Ghana.
You're being blamed for her death?
By her mother.
Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe love can kill.
Very unfortunate turn of events.
And then the music pain too. In this industry, I mean, when it becomes that you're being cheated and then glaring under your eyes and you're trying to say something and somebody's trying to chop off your work and block your work. You know why Lonely couldn't reach the heights, but gradually is reaching? The same producer that produced the Jam Master J ended up blocking my means of promoting it. Meanwhile, my means of promoting it was reaching further than you. Where I have 665K, he is going to file copyright that the rightful master copy owner has filed against me. You go and check his page, he has 1.5, and then he's still blocking where the thing is running up. So I put all in the pain and then unleash it in Hand of Jah.
Have you resolved your issue with J Master J?
Well, he does not want to resolve it.
Let's now bring you some international news.
Hungary is withdrawing from the International Criminal Court, ICC, its government has announced. A senior official in Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government confirmed this hours after Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu, who is sought under an ICC arrest warrant, arrived in Hungary for a state visit. Orban had visited Netanyahu as soon as the warrant was issued last November, saying the ruling would have no effect in his country. In November, ICC judges said there were reasonable grounds that Netanyahu bore criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity during the war between Israel and Hamas. Netanyahu has condemned the ICC's decision as anti-Semitic. Hungary is a founding member of the ICC, which counts 125 member states and will be the first European Union nation to pull out of it. A withdrawal has no impact on ongoing proceedings. Netanyahu, meanwhile, hailed Hungary's bold and principled decision to withdraw from the courts. The U.S. stock market dropped sharply after Donald Trump announced a raft of worldwide tariff last night. Big brands such as Nike, Apple and Amazon see their sharp prices fall, but the White House told reporters to trust in President Trump. In Canada, Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced a 25% tariff on certain U.S. vehicles. The U.K. has also drawn up a 400-page list to U.S. products it could hit with tariffs. Trump announced 10% tariffs on most countries, including the U.K. from Saturday, with higher rates on some of America's biggest trading partners from 9th April. Since January, when the Trump administration began, U.S. markets have lost 10% of their value, marking the worst 10-week start under a new president since George W. Bush in 2001 during the height of the dot-com sell-off.
And that's it for our package this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Asiedu Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Have a good evening.